Hello, my name is Frank McKenna. I'm here at UC Berkeley working for the Near East SimCenter, which is a National Science Foundation funded project. This is a video in which I'm going to demonstrate how to install Near East SimCenter software on a computer running the Mac OS Catalina operating system. SimCenter releases a number of research applications for which this video applies. The only difference in the install is this qofem application. And the only difference there is when I'm actually testing the application, the procedures to test the install are slightly different. The other applications, EUQ, WEUQ, and PBE, all follow the exact same testing procedure. The installation steps for all applications are the same. It's 4 steps. First step is we're going to download Python. Then we're going to install some Python modules. We're then going to download the SimCenter software. And then finally we're going to test and run the software. If you need further help, the online manual for all the tools is available with an installation section. And if you need further help, again, there is a forum for each tool and you can browse and post questions on the forum. So now let me go to a virtual machine that's running the Mac OS Catalina. So here is my Mac OS Catalina. It's a virgin machine. There's nothing installed on this computer. So the first thing we're going to do, the install steps, is install Python from python.org. To do that, I'm going to open a browser. I'm going to search for python.org and download. So python.org download will bring me to the download page for Python. I am not going to download 3.85. Again, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to the Mac OS and I'm going to download the previous release, 3.7. The latest pre-release here is the 3.7.8. So I'm going to select the Mac OS 64-bit installer for this 3.7.8 release and allow it to make a change to the computer. So I'm going to minimize my browser, bring up the package that was just downloaded. So hit continue. So I'm now installing Python on my machine. I'm going to agree to the license. I'm going to install it in its default location. And I'm going to select install. That's going to ask me for my password. This is now installing Python on the machine. When it's done, it's going to bring up a folder. That folder was going to contain 2 scripts. We need to execute those scripts. So when I'm done, watch this. So here are the 2 scripts: install certificate command and update shell profile command. To run these things, all you have to do is double click on them. That should bring up a window. So that's the first one. Run, and now doing the second one here. And what these do is basically set up Python on your system for you, so you don't have to edit any environment variables or anything like that. So that is now done. So I've installed Python, so I can close this. I'll move it to trash. So now I'm going to go and open up a terminal application. The second step, remember, was to install Python modules. To do that, we do that inside the terminal application. So to do this now, to install these modules, it's issuing this pip3 install, and we're going to install the package called Pelican. Installing Pelican will install the other modules that are needed. You see it's downloading NumPy, Pandas, and SciPy. Again, it's one of those modules that was having problems with 3.8 version of Python. So when this is done, we'll get a little warning message that our pip isn't up to date. I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to close that. So that is the first 2 steps done. Now we're going to go back to my browser. And I'm now going to search for, let's download to EUQ. And we're going to look SimCenter. See what it brings up. Web page for our application. So here's the web page for the EUQ application. So I'm going to download. Here's my download link. Other options available. We can look at the documentation, or you can go to the forum directly. We want to download the application. This will take us to another design-safe web page that will contain 2 folders. If we want to look at training material and older versions of the code. But what we want to do here now is just download this EUQ application. For the Mac, we want to download the file. We just click on the file, EUQ Mac download.dmg. When the spinning wheels were done, we're going to select download. This will allow this. Now downloading the application. Okay, so the application is now downloaded. So I'm going to close everything now. I'm going to go to my downloads and I'm going to open up that DMG. So I'm opening the DMG. This will bring up something that looks like a folder. It's actually not, we're just looking at the DMG. So what I want to do now is copy this EUQ application to my desktop. So I just selected it and dragged it over to the desktop. So it's now the application is being copied to the desktop. So I can now close this. Now we want to open the EUQ application. If I double click on it, it's going to fail first time. I just want to show you this. Because we're not signed app developers, you're going to get this if you try to open it with a double left click, which is the way you typically open an application. So the first time you open the EUQ application, you have to right click it and select the open. So it's right click open. Will give you a slightly different menu, one of these, so this will allow me now to open it. So I'm going to select open. So now we're testing this application. So here it is open. If this was WeUQ or PBE, this will look slightly different. The name will be different, and then the left selection bars will look different. But what we're going to do for all three of these, EUQ, PBE, and WeUQ, we're going to go to select the sim. We're going to change the floor weight from 144 to be a random variable. For the random variable, we're going to give it a WF. We're going to say it's a normal distribution. We're going to say 150 and 10. And then once those are entered, we select run. This now starts the application running. Okay, now the application's finished. We're seeing results in the Results tab. We have data values, and I believe this is for 20 simulations, which were specified in the EUQ panel. We're doing 20 samples. So with that, I'm done. I've demonstrated that EUQ works. I've demonstrated the steps to install EUQ, and these are the same steps for all the applications. Now we're going to because qofem was slightly different, I'm going to download and install the qofem application. So we'll look for qofem, SimCenter, select enter. Luckily again we brought to our web page. I'm going to select the download app. It brings me to the Design Saves download page for this particular tool. Here is the qofem mac download.dmg file. I'm going to select that. When the wheel stops spinning, I select download again. Okay, the file is downloaded. Close this, close my browser. I will open up the EUQ application. So we're going to open up the DMG file first. Again, it's going to bring up something that looks like a folder. And again, we're going to have to copy the application somewhere. So I'm going to copy that application again to the desktop. You can actually put it wherever you want. So we have copied now the qofem application to the desktop. So now we're going to start up qofem. Again, I'm going to right click on it the first time. Right click open. Can you give me these? Oops, that didn't do the right click too well. So right click open should bring me this give me that third option. I want to open this application. Give it access to the folder. So here you see we have a slightly different, we don't have a sim. So now to test this one, we're going to go to our manual so I can get an example to run. So in the manual, in the verification section, which shows that the tool is giving the right answer, we have a small example. Interpoint distance. So this, the instructions are here how to go through it, but the first thing I need to do is I need to create a file and put that file in my system. So in this part 1 here, this is a Python script. I'm going to copy this Python script. Control C. I'm going to go back to my terminal, or you can create this file whatever way you want. But I have actually nothing on this computer, so I'm going to go to my desktop, CD to desktop. I'm going to make a folder, make dir test. So I've got a test folder pops up. I'm going to cd into test, and then I'm going to issue a command idle test.py. This will bring up this idle editor which came with Python, and so you can do whatever editor you want. So here's my editor. I'm going to control V. So I've pasted all those lines into this file. I'm going to file save. I'm going to close this. So I'm in test, and if I want to have a look at that file, so if I cat test.py, it will show me the contents of this file, and that's what I needed. So I can now terminate this terminal application. I can shut down my web browser, and I can run this. So for the final element method, we're going to be using OpenC's Py, because this is a Python script we're running. We're going to select that folder, that file that's in that test.py folder. So it's test, and there's that file, test.py. So I highlight that file, select open. I don't have to change anything else here. It's just that input script. I needed an input script. For random variable, if you go back to the documentation, you'll see this file needs 4 random variables: x1, y1, x2, y2. So there's x1, x2, y1, y2. We're going to give it all a uniform distribution. Uniform, 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 uniform. The x values vary between 0 and 1. The y values between 0 and 0.6 for this particular example. So now I have the script set. I have some random variables. Now I just need a quantity of interest. This quantity of interest, give it any name. I'm just going to call it d, this interpoint distance. So with those done, I'm going to do, well, it's going to do 500 samples, but let's run it. It might take a little bit longer than EUQ. There we have it. So it's run, and we get a mean of 0.422, which is pretty close to the exact solution. So with that, I'm done. I have downloaded and tested 2 of the SimCenter applications. Again, the tests for PBE and WEEQ are identical to what I demonstrated for EEQ. So with that, I'm done. Thank you for your attention.